There you go. Well,
There you go.
welcome and welcome so much to Just Count Me In, Transform Your Life. I'm Sari Stone, and I want to welcome today. We've got somebody really special that I was excited and thrilled to bring to you. His name is Max. He's coming to us from Dubai. And Max is a person that actually embodies the flow state that we talk about as his way of life. And that's really fascinating to me. And it resonated with me because I believe it can be true for all of us. At just a good little backstory, at 20, Max left Germany because he felt a pull, no plan. So I thought immediately, this is my person because this is how I've lived and I've shared that with you. And he actually joined the military for a while and he worked his way across the Australian desert, actually in iron ore mines, before he moved through Thailand and Bali. So he's been around a bit. He then ran a real estate agency in Bangkok, and he was following his heart, following his instincts, and he kept feeling pulled towards learning more about frequency and consciousness. He's been in the process of building a global community, and this so impressive to me. It spans over 50 countries in the space of frequency and consciousness. He's been on stage, I'm looking at notes to make sure I get this right, in 45 countries. And he was featured in the documentary Frequency on the Secret of Everything with some of my favorite people, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, some of my favorite mentors. His guiding question throughout all of it has been, is this really it? Not from a state of burnout, but more desire, more curiosity. At a few years back, he met Dr. Garoli and discovered Telos. Telos or Telos, correct me.
Telos. Telos,
Thank
yeah.
you, Telos. And that's a soul mapping system, which I had never heard of. It sounds fascinating. And that the system is actually built on 30 years of clinical research. And that it can describe the direction that every human being was meant to walk. Max had a huge breakthrough moment, as Zach would say, when he saw it and he realized that it completely described your life. So, Max, welcome. Thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy. I just want to welcome you so much to the podcast. And I am sure that our listeners are going to get a lot out of this conversation. So, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for.
you. Thank you for having me, Sari, and thank you so much for everything you're doing. I heard so much about you, that you're really serving so many people out there and doing something very special and creating this beautiful impact to so many. So I'm very delighted to be on your show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and it's my joy, my joy.
Yeah.
It's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you because most of the people that I work with, a large population of them are younger people, they're children, and then their families, and some adults that are in the middle of a transition and a transformation themselves, and some people leading businesses. So I have a weird kind of mix with my niche, I guess. What was it like for you growing up? What can you say about the whole growing up experience?
Oh my goodness. I think looking back, it's been an amazing time. Of course, it's been a challenging time, but I guess this is where we're at. And seeing challenges as a way to grow, you suddenly believe and feel like, hey, challenges are not that bad anymore. I think I was like 6 years old when my parents divorced, and everybody around me said, like, I remember that it was like such a horrible, horrible thing for children or whatever. But I felt like actually it's quite amazing because my father got a new partner and my mom got a new partner. So I had to learn and adapt to new people in my household, and I learned from different people. So it's amazing when I look back, all these smaller or major challenges like everybody of us have, they actually created so much beautiful pathway for us to learn something new and to grow upon, right? So yeah, my childhood then went into school, and for some reason it was very hard for me to accept to sit in this school class among 29 other children, and believe that one person has the best intention for me. And, and actually I didn't want to sit there. I look out of the window and I think like, I want to be out there. So all through my childhood and my career in school, it took me 8 schools until I finally finished high school because I got dropped out, kicked out. Yeah, it was not easy, but in the end of the day, I made a lot of friends because every class gave me new people I got to know, and created an amazing experience. So this is not advice to be a rebel in school, but I just want to bring it down to the point again, like no matter what you experience in life, it's always connected to growth and to new experiences. And eventually, it kind of solidified my journey into entrepreneurship, and doing something that is a little bit outside the box, outside the norm, outside the constraint and the systems that we are living in and given to, because oftentimes these systems are for us to fit in as a tool, but it's not there for providing us the direction for exploring our own path, our own soul journey, our own journey, right? And maybe just to quickly move, because I don't want to go into my whole life. But yeah, when I was 20, and actually I went to the army because I just simply didn't know what I should do. And I was hopeful that the army gave me the amount of discipline that I need in order to fit into the system and do the things that I'm supposed to do, right? And in the end, I just learned in the army, I don't really want to work under anybody. So anybody have to tell me what I should do and what I should not do. I want to work with people who kind of are aligned, and we are working as a collaboration, as a co-creation, as a partnership. So that was the learning from the army, which was very valuable for me. And well, anyway, I made it to university. And I stayed in university for almost a year and studying something that called product engineering, because it was so trendy there. And it said like, it's engineering and marketing, because these kind of sides that don't really understand each other. So what I do is I build that bridge because I learn both sides. And it said like, if you do that, for sure you get a job. There's so much demand out there. And I said, okay, I do it. Was it really something that my heart wanted? 100% not. So that was a time. So I started, again, feeling lost. But how do you feel if you just don't know what else is out there? Because we live in this box that we believe is our reality, our total reality. And we think like these are the things they are, until we start asking questions that bring us new answers, and we create this awareness that we didn't know before. So that's why it's so important to have an open mind. And I truly believe the most expensive thing in this life, looking back, is to have a closed mind, just to believe and accept these are the things, these are the boundaries. No, there are no boundaries. We're infinite beings in the spiritual world, and this is a different conversation. We maybe go into it a little bit later. Anyway, from this moment on, for some reason, a good friend dropped into my reality again, who was traveling through Australia. As a young man in Germany, it was possible to get a 1-year visa in Australia and do the work and travel. That means you travel around and you do some cheap job somewhere and make some money and keep traveling, right? And he got stuck in a place in the Pilbara, which is in the Western Australian Port Hedland. And there's all the iron ore mining, and he started cleaning trucks there. And he told me he made $35 an hour for cleaning trucks. And I asked him, how did you make so much money? That was 2009 or something like this, so quite a while ago. And he said, yeah, the trucks, because they're all working for the mining companies. And the mining's there, they pay so good. Anyway, long story short, one day I was sitting in front of my computer and I made the biggest decision in my life, leaving all the things that I believe to know about this life, meaning, man, I struggled so hard in school to go to this point. I went to the military to get the discipline needed to go into the next path, the next chapter of my life. Now I finally made it to university, a couple of years more, and then I have my safe job that I can keep for the next 35 years and feel great with. And I was willing to just in this moment listen to my heart, and I don't know what it was. And this is what you said before. It was this kind of pull where I said, like, if I don't do a decision or make that decision, that is a major decision now, maybe I never will. And so I clicked on the mouse and I booked a one-way ticket to Australia. And so I ended up in Australia and worked there for, we got a job for the mine, and I ended up being in the desert for 1 year working for iron ore mines. And it was the most liberating, most freeing, most beautiful experience in my whole life, even though we worked 12, 13, 14 hours a day in the desert under really extreme conditions, making $48 an hour. I made 10K a month, Australian dollars to the time. I felt like a rich man. And this is really started my journey, and also the willingness for me to take major decisions, take a risk, and step into the uncertainty, meaning we don't know what will happen tomorrow, right? And I think that's a very amazing place to be in. And I truly believe the uncertainty creates the magic, because we just don't know what will happen, and we can reinvent ourselves. And I believe reinvention is also a big part of success. But before I talk too long, maybe I let you shoot another question.
No, I'm processing what you said, and this is exactly the type of thing that I talk to people about all the time. And it also is my path. I think what you're describing was just that, just I give up, just surrender. Like, hey, I did this, I did this, I did that. They told me to do this. I tried this didn't work. I still don't feel right inside. And I think we have almost just a point where nothing is working. And I mean, it looks like it's working on the outside just fine, but inside, we're not feeling it. We feel like we've abandoned ourselves. We feel like we've outsourced what we consider approval of our lives. It looks good to everybody else. And we say, I am dying inside. This isn't me. This isn't who I came here to be. And we just surrender it and say, I don't know what, but not this. And that expansion, that freedom, you said you felt like a rich man. You were a rich man. You were a rich man now, because you're not living somebody else's life. You're not living somebody else's version of you. And you came here to be you. And that is exactly, it's so beautiful and it's so profound. And I hope that people are listening to your message and see the struggle. I mean, they may look at you now, everything is great, 45 countries, all these different stages, all these people, you're in a movie, you have a baby, everything is fine. It didn't just come to you. You went through processes, you went through opening up, you went through keeping an open mind, and you went through a great surrender to get to where you are right now. And then a willingness to go into things that are uncomfortable and to lean into that discomfort a little bit, because that is what expanded you as a human.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. So true. Yes.
Yes. So you say struggle is a direction problem, and I like that. I'm definitely going to use that. It's not a willpower problem. How do you tell the difference between, and I did an episode called Quit or Grit, because sometimes I wondered, am I quitting right before something's going to break through? Or do I just need to not go with this because it doesn't feel aligned to me? So does it ever happen to you, or has it ever happened where you were struggling with something where you needed to let go of it, or where you needed to maybe lean into it? How do you know the difference, Max?
I think this is such a good question, because I'm a fan of struggle. I don't believe if something seems to be difficult, we should just let go of it just because it's difficult, right? And always look for the easy path, because there will also be no growth and no learning with that. I think just to have that as an underlying message, if like your life should be about growing, right? Because when you look into nature, every tree, every plant is growing until it dies, right? But until it dies, it grows. And what I'm seeing in many people today, I feel like they stop growing. They rather seek the comfort instead of the growth, and forgetting that the growth is actually the one that is the most fulfilling in your life. Because you're gaining experiences, you're expanding your awareness and stuff like that. So I like to see it, and you mentioned I have a baby, so I have a 1.5 year old, 19 months old son, and he's my biggest teacher, and he's my reminder of who I truly was and who we truly are actually as people, before we stopped growing and getting into this conformity or believing this is life and this is all what it is about. When you think back of when you were a child, what did you do all the time? You went out there with so much curiosity, with so much eager to discover, with so much joy, and you learn so much by doing so, right? And I think if we just look at children, of how they discover, play, and learn, we should be exactly like this. And of course there are challenging situations, but we can always take them also as playful as we can do it, right? On the other side, I have to say, like, for me, for example, the struggle that I had, not fitting in, not doing the product engineering path, for example, it was clearly not mine. But I had to go through the struggle until this point in order for me to see the opening, right? So I would say stay as long with the struggle as you can do it, for then to see the opening of what feels right for you, And this is, again, we do have three brains, right? We have the mind, we have the heart, we have the gut. The gut
Yes.
is instantaneous. You just feel it and you know it. And your heart is just like, it's like you tune in. It's that antenna, is that frequency that you can receive here, right? But the thing is, most of the people now, they think analytically and logically. But there's actually some study that shows that when you are listening to your heart, you are, I think, two-thirds or so more correct than you do it with your mind. It's like 60% or something like that. So it shouldn't be underestimated. And it's like, it is what you need and what you want. And everybody in this life has a genius. Everybody has something you're great at. You're sorry, you're amazing in so many things. I'm totally a double zero in. I'm sure about this, I have talents and everybody has some talents. It's about discovering those talents and then go with the flow about that. And this actually brings me to a really interesting point, because you mentioned Telos. So Telos, it's a man, it's so mind blowing. So what Telos is, it's a company we are building right now based on my friend Dr. Alberto's research. He's doing this in 30 years, building this. Over 300 applications on people, over 60,000 patients. He has done this himself. And it's basically creating a map for the person based on chronobiology. So this is not astrology, this is not woo-woo, this is chronobiology, this is Chinese metaphysics, this is I Ching, this is all these things put into one system that is depending on when you're born and where you're born. Because in this moment, and let me just go back for a second, understand that we have rhythms and frequencies all. You have exactly the same color like I have. Look at that. Same cup. Same cup. So we have rhythms and frequencies in our life wherever we look. Everything, everywhere are frequencies. And just to make it really simple, we have a daily cycle. It's a frequency, right? We wake up 6 a.m. The energy goes up, until the noon, 12 p.m. It's peaking, right? And then eventually 6 p.m. we rest, we start recovering, resting, and then we go into sleep mode. So that's a frequency. Now you go a little bit outside, zoom out, and you're going into the lunar cycle. It's a 29.5 days. The moon is there, right? Every beginning of the moon is the new moon. That's where the energy is hot. You want to start projects. You want to start your months, right? Then it's the full moon. Everybody knows this. The energy is so intense, so you can't sleep, right? Then it goes down, and the moon takes away its power, and then it's the resting time of the moon. Go a little bit bigger. It's the solar cycle, right? So 365 days a year. You're starting with the springtime. This is where the energy, you go, people going out on the street. You have the summertime. It's the peak of the energy, is where it's hot, where everybody's outside. Then the autumn time. This is where you start harvesting, recovering, and then you prepare yourself for the winter time where you sleep. So you see, everywhere are frequencies. Everything has a cycle in life. And so is the moment where you're born. And as well, the place, the longitude where you're born has a specific rhythm of life and frequencies, where your hormones are either like that, or they're down. And this can all be measured. And what basically Telos is showing you, it's showing you your map into the future. What is good for you? Where you have risks? What are the moments of stressor? And where is the stress showing your body? So when Dr. Alberto showed it to me, it was so interesting, because there's also the composition of elements in Telos, meaning certain places have certain composition of elements, and certain people have certain composition of elements as well. I am a type of metal and wood. That's my type. When you look at Germany, where I come from, it's a fireplace. Guess what? Metal melts and wood burns in fire. That's why I was never feeling so great in this place. So what did I do? And this is interesting, because I just started, we just done the research on Telos, right? And I look back on my life 20 years ago. What did I do the first thing? I went to Australia, to the biggest metal composition in the ground, in an iron ore mine, as a metal. Like, look, I get goosebumps just talking about it. It's so insane. Then I went to Thailand, and I lived in Thailand for 8 years. Thailand is full wood country. I control wood. As a metal and a wood, I can do everything with wood. It's my place, right? So when you look into your paths of life and things making sense, and you don't need a telos for this. I mean, it shows you literally what's going on. But I believe also when you just tune in to your heart and what we talked about, have that pull and let yourself a little bit pull on what is it what you truly want, what is it what you truly desire, who are you really when nobody's watching, when you don't need to pretend to be somebody, when you don't need to try to fit in. Who are you? Who's that person, right? If you find that and if you feel that, you will find your path. And I think this is really what we try to we should accomplish in this life. And flow state, people talk about peak performance state. I think Sari and me, we don't talk about that. We talk just be your true self, your most authentic self, and see that you find your beautiful path and passion and magic in this life. That's what flow means for us.
As a way of being rather than an experience. As
Yes.
a way of being, just as a way of flowing the energy through. Well, that was fascinating to me because I'm new at Talos, and it sounds like a combination of a lot of things, and it definitely teaches a lot of the principles that I go over with the children that I work with. We talk about the lunar cycles, and then we talk about our own birth year and that cycle, like the solar return cycles. We talk about stages in life. I myself I have a friend who's an astrocartologist, and he overlays your birth map where the planets were at the moment you were born and talks about what areas might be good for you setup wise that way. So, but this seems to go deeper, and I definitely want to learn more about it. And I
We
hope
do we
people
do have free telos. Like when the moment it's ready, teloscode.com or maxgloeckner.com on my website. I will give free
thank
telos.
you.
We have free teloses, like you just sign up and you get your free telos, and it will show you basically a general picture about yourself, where you can learn about yourself. We have also then a real telos, but we're not going to give that out because this is like you can see future points where something is happening, is predicting kind of your future. And what we are now in the process of is educating coaches and therapists in order to be able to read this telos to people. So we should not give this whole thing because it might be totally overwhelming. We want
Yeah.
professionals and practitioners to be able to read this to the people. So that's our intention with telos, and that's what we're building right now.
Thank you. And we'll make sure we put the links in the show notes for that. So it does the same thing, but it does it for you. And it uses all these points that are very real and very grounded. You mentioned the head, the heart, and the gut. And the people that I work with know that I'm really big on that, really big on integration. I mean, your heart is your strongest energy field electromagnetically. And the gut, when I heard, I forgot his name, but he was an FBI negotiator for years. I have this book, Never Split the Difference. And he talks about the gut being right. What did he, something crazy like 500,000 times more than the negotiations where they just use their head. I was astounded when I read that. So I think getting us back to that, because your son, when you look at him, he will be using that. You're born integrated. You're born using all of it. And then we as parents and adults correct our kids and say, no, you don't really need that, or why are you feeling this way? Or we kind of strip them and teach them, no, this is the way it really is. Not to follow themselves, not to trust in themselves. And I know I was guiltier than I'd like to admit, but I was, and I have apologized to my kids. I wasn't as aware then as I am now. And we do it. What advice do you have for parents out there that are trying to raise these children? And they're all different ages. I work with them all the way through college, and I'm working with some adults who are coming back to this themselves for the first time. What advice do you have on integrating and staying in touch and living, making decisions, flowing that energy from a state of integration and alignment with yourself?
So, I mean, I'm still a very young parent and pray every day that I don't mess up my son too much.
Yes.
you know but I have to say, like, even look, sorry, your parents, they done things and you had to go through maybe decades of healing because of that, but it also brought you to, you became the person who you are today because of that. So I think even not trying to be totally perfect, it's absolutely fine, and messing things up with our parents, it's okay. Our kids is okay too, because they will learn, grow, and adapt and take these little traumas, if you want to call them like this, as something that they can, create their personality with. So I would say my number one advice is really, um, don't focus on what you say so much, but focus on how you show up. Who are you as a person, because they mirror your energy. And and I think that's the most important thing. So this is how I approach parenting. It's like, what am I want my son to experience, what I want him to feel. So I certainly don't want to argue in front of them with my wife Marcelina. I don't want to do that. I just try to show up as my best self, and because of that, it makes me better as a person as well, right? Because I have a total permanent accountability check on me going on if I'm showing up right for my son, right? So I think that's the most important thing. Like, who are you when your son is watching and when nobody's watching, and have that accountability check, and then just ask yourself, like, what I want him to experience and what I want him to feel from me.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Thank you. How do you stay in balance? How do you stay in alignment and open to that state of flow? I talk to the kids about the fact that we're energy. I mean, it's not the way I was raised that we're this mass. There's more of the, the particle and the wave. We talk about that, and they get it at a pretty young age. But how do you do it? And what advice could you give people about that? Just about staying open to and realizing that your challenges are opportunities for expansion. I guess the bigger question that I want to make sure I get to also is, why do you think you're here, Max?
I, I was asking myself the same question just now, and I thought it's wonderful, because I had no idea that you are so tuned in, and it's really interesting that I'm okay. You mean here on the planet, or you mean in your podcast?
Oh, no, no, I mean here on the planet, here on the planet.
Okay, okay. I was just watching you and listening, and I think, like, this woman is amazing. Like, wow, she's teaching all this amazing stuff, and we got so randomly connected, and I think it's so awesome. Because we absolutely speak the same language. Um, Look, like, okay, I mean, oh man, we can, it's a very red pill conversation, that I would say, if you ask me why I'm here. I think it goes into, like, maybe it's too much for the afternoon. It should be more like an evening session, because I truly believe this is the most important time to be alive right now. This is the most interesting time, because we're moving into something that we maybe could call the final boss scenario, because we have AI, we have transhumanism. If you look around, it's like, if you don't mind me go a little bit controversial, I don't know how young the kids are, but when you look at, there's enhanced Olympics right now showing how people on substances can break records, which makes our mind go like, wow, this is interesting, like how much we can push this. So now technology is really influencing our life as well on the next level. So I think we will come to a state where we are merging more and more with technology. And if the question comes to you, maybe this is for your audience, if somebody sits opposite of you, and it's like a human you cannot describe, because our mind right now is too limited to imagine, but maybe something that is combined with technology, somebody that is very fast, maybe jumper is almost like a half cyborg, and he would have a chip in his head, because he can now have access to all the information in the internet instantaneous, and you might lose if you don't have that chip, and the question comes to you and says, like, do you want to have access to everything, to all the wells, to all the information, and become that almost like not being able to ever leave this planet kind of human? Or would you decide to just stay the way you are? And I think this is likely, very likely, and very possible a question we should ask ourselves in this lifetime, because it's very close to us that this kind of stuff is happening. So I believe everybody who's on the planet right now lives in the most important time for humanity to make choices that are really profound and, there for the survival of humanity. And I'm not talking about becoming technology, because that's not humanity. So
No,
yeah, I think we all have a very special place right now because we're all born in this time. Um, yeah, again, we would have probably have to have another conversation on this one because we can go very deep into this. But yeah, but I can see you confirming some of the ideas.
no, definitely I'm open to all this. And it don't censor yourself at all here. You're fine here. It's my audience knows this is it. I mean, I 5 years ago I had a heart attack and almost died, and it was out of the blue. And they don't know why. But I'll tell you what it taught me, I was already doing what I loved. I had already left the job, I had already left the system and was doing my own thing. I had already done a lot of work. I honestly thought, okay, I feel better and better and better, and boom. And it happened because I needed to give more. It happened because I needed to reach more people and I thought I was grateful for life back then, to the ability that I was, and I had awareness of the importance of being grateful for my life. My mom died at a young age. But I'll tell you what, it changed so much for me. So I don't censor unless I feel like I'm harming somebody with my words for some reason. I don't worry about what you say on this podcast, because I found that when I am allowing guidance to come through me and I'm feeling what I need to be saying and integrating and feeling aligned and feeling like the energy is right with the person, there is no wrong thing for you to say. There might be something that somebody would say, whoa, that's a bit much. Or somebody might say, well, that's his jam. I don't agree with him, but I'm rolling it all out. And I mean, don't have a heart attack to learn that. You're probably already there. You probably don't need that lesson to learn that, but it's, it opened up so much for me. And one of the things is this is your chance. This is it. I mean, your soul, I believe that our souls are infinite, but this is it as your personality that you came in as. This is your chance to touch people. So just anything that you want to offer, please feel free to
Yeah, I
offer.
mean, I mean, this is really why this mission come up, to really help people on finding their paths, because I truly believe people now more than ever are more lost, more in fear. Um, I mean, you just need to open your phone, right? And you get anxiety. And it's a state where corporations and different levels of dimension are really benefiting and profiting from you, instead of focusing on and I like to compare it this way, like imagine your energy is your currency, right? It's the most important, valuable currency in your life. Now, let me ask you this. If you have money, would you spend your money on um, fear, on something that makes you anxious, on something that terrifies you, on something that is taking all your focus back without feeding energy back to you? Like there is no exchange. There's just like a giving from you as your focus, as your energy. It's almost like you have a big hole in your wallet and money goes out, or you consciously go out and spend money for something that makes you feel horrible. You wouldn't do that, right? But that's your energy and that's your focus. But we experience what we focus on, right? So when you
Yes.
look at the phone, when you look at the news, when you look at all this polarity that is happening around us, these are all things that are basically pulling from us something which is so valuable, which is our energy, right? I want us to focus on spending money, spending this currency of energy on something that brings joy, that brings love, that is compassionate, that is all the beauty that we can experience in this life, right? So this is what I want to do here. I want to help people find that and go back to that, right? Because this is really the infliction moment right now. It is really that we are, losing ourselves in this ocean of negativity out there, and we don't even perceive it anymore as negativity, but we constantly in an anxious state, and that's horrible. So I think we need to come together, and that's why your podcast is beautiful, and especially when you talk to young people who also don't understand, let's leave the phone away. I mean, we grew up in a time where we had no phones, we were outside, we were very present, and time was perceived so long. Today it's like bum 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 bum, it goes so quickly, right? So it's so valuable to spend our time, our focus on the things that bring joy to us, or something that is an exchange for us, some kind of benefit.
I totally agree. I think those are very, very wise and very true words. And that is, I think, why you are here. Definitely why you are here, to bring about awareness, to bring about awareness and make sure people are coming home to themselves. Yeah. So a lot of my kids are struggling with phone addiction and technology, and that it's hard. And there's a book called The Amazing Generation that I recommend that they read, and that's helpful for some of it. It gives them the how the games were developed and everything, and the dopamine, like they understand about dopamine addiction. We talk a lot about the brain. We are big neuroscience geeks, so we talk a lot about that because I think these are the things they should be teaching in school. You should be learning about your body. The computer up here for one thing, right? And so we spend a lot of time talking about that. Now, on the other hand, without technology, we wouldn't be having this. So, where do you find the balance? And do you think that, I mean, there's definitely a place, I think, for AI. And I mean, I use it for quick fact lookup if I have to look something up. We use it for math problems for steps a lot of times because I can't keep it all in my head. Sometimes there's organizational tools that might be helpful, but it's a dance. And what it can't give you is this. And what it can't give you is the universe or God or whatever it is, your connection, energy speaking through you. It can only give you what it's been asked and all the answers that it got from the questions it was asked. It can't give you the human. We came here to have a human experience. We also came in at a time with great technology. I struggle with this a lot. So I'm asking, this question is from me, not my audience. What's your take on this?
So when I look at AI and everything, it's like before AI, it's been the internet. Before the internet, it's been systems, governments. I see everything is a box. Everything, it's like, let's call it the matrix. I feel like many people resonate with this word and understanding like, okay, we are put into a system and things are, running here a certain way. And oftentimes we are used as tools in the system. So the way I like to see it is, why don't make the matrix, AI, everything that comes with it as your playground? And you come here to enjoy. You use AI to enhance your productivity, to build a business that you were not able to build before. I mean, right now we can build a website. I can build a website. I'm a double zero and on a technical side on a computer. Forget about it. So now I can. It's fun for me, So I think when we see things as, again, we go back to being a child, as a playground for us to experience, right? And it's the same thing like making money. I want to make money. I want to have nice cars. I want to fly business class. I want to travel to beautiful places. I want to enjoy the most amazing food. I want to enjoy a lifestyle that is luxurious in five-star hotels if I want to. I want to be able to have the resources that get me there. And this is what I want to do here. I want to play around, but I don't forget who I truly am authentically and go back there, right? So it's the balance between playing and having fun here and getting lost and sucked into it, right? And I had this experience when I spent COVID in Bali. That was the most amazing time ever. Like, Bali is such a beautiful island; it's paradise. Imagine that without tourists. 1 year locked up in Bali, and I was so connected to nature. I was so connected to spirituality. I learned so much about life there. And then after this, I went back to travel again, and I ended up in Warsaw, right? And I felt so connected to nature, and eventually I got this disconnection. I found myself getting lost once again in the system of the stressors and so forth, right? So I had to do the work once again in order to go back. But I don't need to be in nature to feel home again, right? Because everything what we need is within us. It's just about that being that present with yourself, finding that peace inside of yourself to take yourself out, because really home is here, right? It's in our heart, as you said that before as well. So it's really playing with the fire is absolutely fine a little bit, just lean into it, have fun, enjoy it, take the AI, even use social media, it's like nothing is forbidden, but just know this is a game. It's for you to experience, to explore, but not to get lost in it, right? You don't want to get lost in it. And then allow yourself to always pull back, ask yourself, who am I truly are? What is my heart? Where is my presence? Who am I? And find that within yourself. And it's not going to get easier, because technology is going to get overwhelming. And we just talked about this red pill scenario, it will eventually start infiltrating people. And then your choice has to be done on based what you feel within you, right? And if you practice this now, it will be a very wise choice to do so, because when you're in this moment and you're lost, like so many people might be already, you will probably not make the best choice for your infinite soul, I would say.
So true. What is your practice for
For
that?
meditation. Well, I do, to be honest, now I'm almost 40 years old, and I used to go to the gym and lift weights, right? Today, it's all functionality and actually longevity. And the more I do from different things, the better I feel. I do fascia movement. I do, today I did some bench press. Like rarely do this again. I do kind of running, walk. I do everything. And I think this is really the same thing for mindfulness practice is like I'm not locking in on one thing at the time. Right now, I'm in Dubai and it doesn't allow me to walk into the forest, but I have morning walks with the sunrise, right? And it brings me so beautiful in state. I don't have a phone with me. I have nothing with me. I just have that moment for myself when I start the day. I didn't do it every day. Then I do a Bob Proctor manifestation, abundance meditation, for example. Then I tune into Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation. Then I don't do any meditation, but I just be present when I work out with myself. So again, it's the balance act. It's just like having a variation of tools and apply them. Just like, I can probably be locked into a situation for a month not doing any mindfulness work without forgetting who I truly am. It's just knowing that. And sometimes it's just remembering for just a moment, hey, I'm here, right? And that might be already enough. That doesn't mean like I'm not a fan of these practices. I love these practices, but I would say like experience, like play with everything in your life, play with your body, go to the gym and play playful, play with your mind, with your mindfulness, with your business, with your travel, with this world. It's just like be playful, and try different things, and whatever makes fun, then do it for a while until it's boring and then do something new.
I think we're here to have as much joy as possible out of this experience. I'm all
Yes.
about that. I'm all about that. And so for people, so for us, we can say, okay, if this doesn't feel right, I'm going to do something different. Okay, for some of the children I work with, they're in school systems. This is why I work with them. I'm helping them to negotiate. If there's not a choice for them, then their choice, like we talk about Viktor Frankl, nobody chooses your thought except you, you know? And so we talk about thinking a different way. What advice do you have for this is from a ninth grader for somebody who's in a system that he doesn't like? He's not going to quit. He's going to finish it out. We are going to continue to work together. But what advice do you have for kids who don't have the option to opt out for the next year or two of a class they don't like or a teacher or you know?
You're asking the guy who had to
I
change
know,
8 times the school,
I know.
so I'm not sure if I'm, in a position to give advice on this topic because I also don't have a teenage child yet. But let me think if he is a teenager or looking back at my life, okay, if I would have had in this moment in my time where it was so difficult for me in school to stay consistent, to listen to the teacher. If I would have had the right guidance, that would have told me, look, Max, like you are here to have some fun and experience, but also to learn. And the way you learn is with fun. Like we know that when we are children, learn with fun. So the question is like, what can you do to make it enjoyable for you in the situation? If you really need to go through it, because yes, you cannot drop out of school in the ninth grade. It's not, you shouldn't do that. You know, it's like there's a lot less options for you on the other side if you do so, right? On the other side, we also know that school is not the answer. It's a box, you know, but the box is what the system describes as. But nevertheless, looking back onto my life, even though school was so difficult, it was the most joyous time in my life. It was amazing. Nevertheless, I learned so much. I met so many people. I had a lot of fun. We had so much time as children because we are still children. You're in the ninth grade. You're 14, 13, 15 years old. It's the best time in your life because every day there's a new experience you can do. Look, what I would say is like, sit there and use it as growth, understanding that the growth factor from this struggle that comes with it is so tremendous and so beneficial for the rest of your life. There's one thing that I have missed for a long time in my life. That's why I went to the army. It was discipline. It was sitting my ass down on a chair, listening, doing something that I didn't want to do, but I had the growth after. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always like this moment right now to do something because you don't want to do it is not as important as sitting and being in present moment with something that you don't like to do because the benefits on the other side are way greater. So I would just like long answer short. If you don't have the guidance in your life, listen to Sari, listen to this conversation, go out and have fun as a child, be playful because it's about growth and it's just a temporary situation in your life. Everything is temporary, every pain, every situation, every butterfly in your stomach, anything is very temporary. So just take it in and know it's going to be ending. And on the other side, you're going to go out as a stronger child, as a stronger man, woman, or whatever. Yeah, that's what happens. And that's what I would say to my teenage son when it's time.
That's sage, Max. Yes, thank you. No, I love these words, and I love it that people will be hearing these words. I do. You have so many gifts, and you came in with so much to share with people. I really appreciate that you're sharing on this podcast. For yourself, what do you believe? Do you believe we're energy? Do you believe in spirit, like in a God or a source? Do you believe we're all connected? There are so many different beliefs out there. What is your person? And I know everybody has their own way. What is your belief? What is your way?
I would say I'm not following a specific book or religion. I tuned in a lot of times, and I think there's so much truth in it. I believe in God, but I believe what we call God can also be called the universe, can also be called source. It's what all connects us, right? And I 100% I know that we are energy. It's a knowing. I understand. It's what it is. It's 99.9% of whatever you have in your body, in your cells, in your atoms, in the subatomic particles. It's empty space. It's energy. There's an electron and proton flickering around. So you are energy. Your thoughts are energy. Everything is energy. The table in front of me is energy, right? It's just different density. So, which this thought alone creates so much empowering, like it's so empowering to think that way, because if you believe and you know that you are energy and that basically your thoughts and yourself and anybody around you is the same, what can you create? That means life is not happening to you, but it's happening for you the way you create it. And understanding that this life is a mirror of your perception. It's whatever you see, you will be proven right because it's your belief that brings you there, right? So if you understand that concept, and I think this is like if somebody from the ninth grade hears that and applies that and understands, look, if you feel the world is unfair, this is exactly what you get. The
Yes.
world will be unfair to you. If you feel guilty, guess what? You're going to be punished. If you feel this world is your playground, you're here to grow, you're here to enjoy, you're here to experience, you're here to, bring up a lifetime of pleasure and like friends and love and discovery and all, so be it. it is whatever you believe to be true, you will be proven right. And that's one of the lessons I can tell you after living here for 40 years. I experienced that. I've been both ways. I've been the way where I said, like, everything is garbage, it's not fair. And trust me, dropping down from 8 schools, I was always right with that. It was not fair. Everything was bad, you know. Um, but now I change that, you know, and I create myself a world that takes very good care of me. And you can choose that as well.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. We do talk about that, and I do talk about that with the kids, and about how we have to get rid of beliefs. Like they reach a certain point of expansion and then they get nervous because they're not used to it. It's not familiar. So they learn how to work with their brains, but we get what we are, and we get exactly what we expect. And we always tend to make ourselves right. So watching the self-talk is really important too, because that belief is what's going to be mirrored to you all over. And
Yes.
it's so interesting because I believed that by having this podcast, I would connect with some of the most amazing people. And it took a while to start to get interviews. And now I connected, they would message me, but not to be on. And now here you are. Here you are. And it's the pull I had to go bigger and to share people with other people that think this way and that are ready to learn, ready to, what they say, pick up what you're putting down, Max. That's what they say. I'm picking up what you're putting down. They're ready for that. And so, thank you. I really deeply from my soul want to thank you for coming to the podcast and for meeting me. And I hope that we stay connected, because I don't think anything is random. I really don't. No. So thank you. Where can people find you? Because I know I'll put the link in the show notes, but what's the best way?
I would say social media, Max Gloeckner. I mean, it's, yeah, you need to put it down because it's a German name, Gloeckner. It's my Instagram. You can follow me there. And maxgloeckner.com is the website. We have a newsletter, so where I will share
Great.
some of the teachings that we talked about today as well. And then, of course, we also have a free Telos, which will be uploaded probably around the time when this podcast will be launched, maybe a little bit later. But this is where you can find me. And then we have teloscode.com. This will be the whole Telos experience that we're working on right now, which I really believe will create a tremendous, beautiful impact for humanity. So, yeah, and I just want to also lastly say thank you so much, Sari. It's such a beautiful surprise to be here on this podcast and be resonating with you back and forward. I love it. I had no idea, and you're absolutely right. You know, it's like we're attracting these things into our life, and I'm so happy and blessed to be here, and I'm happy that that I could, you know, hopefully share some valuable insights to your audience and especially to the kids, you know. And I can't wait to, if you want to have me back, then I'm more than happy to come back anytime to you. So hope to stay in touch,
Thank
Sari.
you.
Thank you so
I
much.
definitely will. Thank you so much. And you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much. You are changing lives, and you've already changed quite a bit, but by being on this podcast, you are, and I've got goosebumps saying this, you are reaching some people who you wouldn't have reached otherwise. And on behalf of them, and I don't even know who all of them are, I thank you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks, Sari.
Thank you.